broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
You get in trouble.
Hello, fans of AfterBuzz TV and Bar Rescue. My name is Kevin Undergar, and I am here to deliver the Bar Rescue After Show. And as you can see, I am alone. Well, I'm not. Marissa, am I totally alone?
You're never truly alone, Kevin.
See, oh, I love you, baby doll. Marissa is in the booth. She didn't see tonight's episode. Maybe she didn't need to, because there's plenty to tear into, and there's plenty you're going to be able to comment on anyway with me, Marissa. Tonight's episode, Vulgar Vixens. I thought it was outstanding on many levels, and I know I say this every week, guys, but this show just always blows me away. 100 episodes in, and I'm still getting different characters, different situations, different reactions. And I continue to learn more about John, and I'm in more in awe of him every week. And I realize I need to spend more time with him myself. Needless to say, Mirsky, I need to ask you a favor. Since you're not going to have to switch cameras much because it's just little old me, I need you to go to Bar Rescue Updates, please. And I need you to find out the status of this bar. I was not able to do it. We did get the black screen at the end, which of course we'll talk about later in the show. But Marissa, if you would be so kind, if in the words of Winnebago Man, if you would do me a kindness and be ready with that for later in the show, I would appreciate it.
All right, I'll do my best. Okay,
so we've got the bar, which is called, why am I having a brain freeze? It was, my goodness, not the.
A bar Michigan, though, right?
No. It was called, the name of the bar. My God, not the. Oh my God, because I can't read my own writing here. I'm sorry. Chandra was the owner. Marissa, would you look that up for me too?
Off Base Bar?
No, honey. That's
the new
episodes ago. No, that's episodes ago. Okay. So it's in Detroit. And this is really annoying, and I apologize to my fans. I can't read my own writing. Anyway, it's a demeaning term, but look it up, Marissa, so you can remind everybody. Which, of course, is no surprise because the host, the owner, Chandra, as we see throughout the episode, is completely demeaning to her staff, and derogatory. 5 years she's owned the bar, and 5 years ago, supposedly this was making $20,000 a month. Same old story. It was her dream to own a bar. Her and the husband, they buy the bar, and they say to themselves, "This will be a great way to retire and leave to our children." Well, in 2008, when the economy collapsed, and we know with Detroit, seems like it's just been collapsing since the mid '80s, but. I know in 2008 it seemed to have bottomed out, and now they are $350,000 in debt, and it's something $4,500 a month is now being lost. And the husband doesn't work at the bar; he has a full-time job to pay for the bar. So the bar's not making money.
Is it the Hooch?
It's the Hooch. Thank you. So in other words, like the Hooch, as in not marijuana Hooch, but as in hoochie mama, as in hoe.
Already that's vulgar.
That's what I'm saying, Marissa. So, and again, there's always a saying too about businesses. What are they? You have to, the head of the fish, if the head of the fish stinks, something to that effect. But basically the person who's running something, I know in Hollywood, whether it's a TV show or movie, if you have a miserable staff, if it's a really bad work environment, it's the person running it. It just is. It just trickles down to that. But that's any business. And this lady, Marissa, she's literally calling her staff dirty sluts. Come on, you dirty sluts, do this. Dirty sluts, come on, whores, do this, grab this. You know, and it's gotten so pathetic at this bar that she'll call for hula hoop time and have them hula hoop. And if that isn't demeaning enough, they do it with their shirts off.
That already, like you said, that's demeaning, but that's also just degrading. And
also illegal, because they don't have a license for nudity, but
immoral.
But they're probably, and it's not moral, and they're probably in a place where just because nobody goes there, nobody even cares. It is an incredible shit show. And when you look at the bar from the outside, it looks almost like a VFW hall, if that makes any sense to anybody. It's just flat brick. It does not look like a bar. It does not look appealing, which again is no surprise. The inside of the place is just worn out in such a horrible way. And again, you just see the staff of girls half-dressed, half-assing, but broken too. You know, you see it on the girls' faces. They're broken. It's interesting because we've had Queen Sheba, as John said. We've had the owner who's a total narcissist, and expects everyone to just kiss her ass. We've seen that before. We've actually seen it with many owners. But we've also, with Queen Sheba, remember, she had her staff who are also pit bulls like her. And again, I've seen that on many TV shows in Hollywood, many movies in Hollywood, but also in many businesses. So when the person who runs the business, the bar, the TV show, if they are maniacal and mother effers, then usually the people who work there are like that as well, with a couple of nice masochists to kind of do their bidding in between. And if you go back to Queen Sheba's bar, the O-Face bar, you had a woman running it who was a total narcissist and not very ethical, but her deputies, so to speak, especially that one girl that was kind of her manager, was beating up the one or two nice masochists that were there, trying to make the business work. And of course, the Queen Shebas of the world always defend those people. And again, I wish I could tell you all the TV shows in Hollywood. You'd probably be horrified. But the ones I know have showrunners like that, or even movies, they have their like disgusting pit bulls who just go out and ravage and attack and demean. And everyone kind of falls in line, and it's very sad. As we saw with O-Face, which is why O-Face was so painful. It's just so painful to me for businesses outside of LA, and then obviously being in LA, what I've seen too. And I was so happy John did not renovate that bar, and I was happy to hear they went out of business. But what was different about tonight was these were all nice girls. And Roach is an African-American who seemed like a really gentle soul, who just said, like, we want to make the place better, but it's her. And he even volunteers to become a cook, because these girls are not only in these expected to wear nothing to work, expected to take their shirts off, expected to be called dirty sluts, and other horrible names in front of the customers. They have behind them in a bar I would say, I wouldn't say it's the dirtiest bar rescue bar, because we've had cockroaches and things like that, but I would say bottom 10% of the dirtiest bars we've had for bar rescue. So they're not only working in that around mold and bugs and feces and things like that, but behind them is actually a grill and a fryolator that of course are never clean. And if any of you guys have worked in a kitchen, I've worked, in the carnival business. That's all I did was work over friolators and grills. To be in skimpy outfits, you get burned. Sometimes when I get people, I'm almost embarrassed, but I'll be out, with my girlfriend and our very successful high-end friends, and when I get suntanned, you'll see on my arms all these white dots, and some on my legs too. And what they are is they're burns from being over a grill and a fryolator, and it's okay. I'm a dude, fine, but for these girls to have to work over that while they're having to tend bar, and the equipment, none of it's been cleaned. We see in the intro, one of the fryolators is actually bubbling over. It's so dangerous. And this lady has no problem with it whatsoever, and basically just hammers the girls more. And mind you, not even hammering them, there's nothing, the hammering part's not defensible at all, but not hammering them, say, clean the grill, clean the bar, this, that, and the other thing, but just hammering them just to demean them. Go do your hula hoop, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that, and basically just whore yourself out to clients to try to make us more money. But the staff was actually very nice. Usually, these people bring in their own kind. Very nice to see, and this is what made it different. And that also affects the rest of the show, and why I love this show. I love the producers, and I love John, because what we talk about, what the stress test, things went very differently. So for the stress test, for Recon, we have in the car with John, or our experts, are Keith Breedlove, who just seemed like a hip Motor City kind of dude. He's going to do kitchen stuff, which, they always pick the right people. But then, this is my notes, Lisa Marie Joyce. I wrote Lisa Marie Joyce Undergaro because, if something ever happens to my girlfriend, I want to marry Lisa Marie Joyce. Just my kind of girl. I don't know why. I just think she's amazing. Now, Tall Mia, I would also want to marry, but now I know Tall Mia, so it's ruined the fantasy. So she's at sister status, so can't go there, unfortunately. But my 1-2 combination, my twin towers, for the females on this show, it's Tall Mia, and Mia Mastriani, of course. I call her Tall Mia because that's her handle. And by the way, she's on a recon right now, so that's why she's not here. But Lisa Marie is just a rock star. And you see it tonight in this episode. And, my note to the producers and to John, between Phil Wells, Lisa, and Nick, and Mia, and you're putting together such a crew of regulars, I feel that there's something else for them to do. I don't know if it's a spinoff, certainly the specials, there's something to do with them that's within the Bar Rescue brand. And also, it's nice because they can be soldiers to take some pressure off John. Because John, I still do not know how he does it. 4 days out in the middle of nowhere. And then when he's done, and he'll go to his hotel room completely drained and exhausted, pack the bag, bang, we're going to the next bar. And again, I physically, maybe I could do it, but creatively, not even close. Okay, so we have 2 Detroit writers who come in, 2 females, and because of everything I described, they're just so horrified that it's like, I felt like as recon people, they were almost a non-factor because they were just so overwhelmed with how horrible this was. And John seeing the compilation reel in the car. And we always get that. One of my favorite moments is that's it! That's it! I can't take it anymore. But John's steaming. And if anyone knows John, and I know our fans know John, fans of this show do, if you're just tuning in, you'll learn that John's very protective of the weak, the military, and women. And to see this fellow woman terrorize and do this to these other girls, He's just getting steamed. Obviously, Keith and Lisa Marie are getting steamed as well. But John goes in there. And I always like when we have bar rescue first. So according to John, he tells Chandra, the owner, you are the most unlikable person I've ever seen. Significant in that he's seen a lot of assholes, guys. But even more significant was her response. And it's a response that I hate. She responded by saying, I'm an asshole. As if she was proud of it. And again, when I talk about some of the TV shows, some of the movies, and some of the businesses that people I've worked for in just general business, man, do I just know too many of those bosses who did the exact same thing. I'm an asshole. That's their response. Yep, with a big effing smile on their face, as if they take pleasure in bringing pain to others. And I can't even imagine if that were my existence. I can't even imagine the darkness around people, but I see it a lot. And when they own it and they're proud of it, it made me want to scream.
And you know what, Kevin, on top of that, why do you think John was, again, that is just despicable, but why do you think John was so upset for this particular situation? Do you think it's because it's a woman degrading other women?
I think just the women being degraded so bad, I just think he goes blind. If it was a guy, he may have even been more violent because she was so bad. If it was a guy, I don't know if he would have rescued the bar, and I don't know what he would have done.
Interesting.
But he was horrified.
It sounds like a horrible situation.
It was awful. It was awful. And when I looked at all the girls too, and here at AfterBuzz we have over 250 hosts. Obviously, my girlfriend is if one of the leading, if not, she is the leading entertainment host in the business. And I've been around new people in our business. I've been around older people in business. Females who have been super successful. And I don't know, when I see it was so interesting to watch. It's so interesting to watch women who have good hearts and want to try and want to please, but are totally broken. And these women, totally broken. If you looked closely at all of them, to me, it looked like each and every one of them, their confidence was shaken. Their self-esteem was ruined. Now, okay, maybe Chandra didn't do it. Maybe that's who they were. But you bet your ass she poured gas on those fires. And when you look down the line of them, you could just, Marissa, I wish you could see it, but the girls in there were just broken. Well-intended, trying, but broken. Each and every one of them. And I wish, and when I go talking about all the hosts here at AfterBuzz and the people that I coach and I work with, some, celebrities who are very successful, and then I was just starting out, it's like, I wish I was on this episode because I wish I could have gotten with them, with the girls, because again, because of who I'm with for the last 17 years, I'm okay at it, and I've seen, believe it or not, even, my girlfriend, who again is very successful. I've seen her down, and need to be pumped up. But I've seen a lot of, and Marissa, a lot of the kids, a lot of girls who come in here, and the guys too. But just we're talking about girls right now. But Marissa, a lot of the girls that at AfterBuzz, some of them come here and they're down and out and they're broken too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's also. This particular industry, we're in the entertainment as well. It's a whole different type of grind, but it's the principles among all that. But that's the reason at AfterBuzz we give everyone an opportunity to have fun and do what they actually love and put that positivity and spark back into their work.
Right. And one of the things, Marissa, and if you recall when you first started, because I make all of the engineers and the producers here, the immediate staff, I also make them host because it helps them with their confidence. It helps them understand what our hosts are going through. But the one thing I've always said here, and guys, please, I'm not making this about me right now. I'm just trying to make a greater point. But here, we work very hard when the kids come in to feel where they feel at home. They feel that they are loved. They feel as though they are respected. We work very hard at that. And it wasn't always easy, was it, Marissa? Because there's times where you're on a 14-hour day and someone comes in and is really pushing you to your limits. But we've gotten through that, haven't we, with our immediate, the staff, yourself, but the people even under you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And and especially AfterBuzz itself, there's so many different personalities that come into our lives and come in and out on a daily basis. It's about working and realizing people's faults, but also bringing them up from that.
Right. And again, and just when you think of this bar, they all look different. You could tell all the girls were different backgrounds. I feel like there was a couple of single moms in there. I don't know why. I just felt it. They all had a different story and a different background, but had they been empowered like we do here, and I think any good business should do, I just can't even imagine, because they wanted to be there. They had heart. But she was just terrorizing him. And so here's her excuse. First she goes with, well, I'm just an asshole. But then she says, I want to make them callous. And in other words, I'm doing it to toughen them up. And I've heard that my whole life too, from people who are cruel and abusive. I'm doing it to toughen them up.
There's a way to toughen someone up, but that was out of low self-esteem. That's not the best way to go about it. No,
she was saying to prepare them for customers to do that. And John, of course, was like, well, you're lowering their self-esteem. You're lowering the value of the place. And so, you're preparing them for low-rent customers that you don't want. Instead of, you go to a good Boston bar. I mean, in Northeast, guys, compared to LA, there's just so much tradition in the Midwest and the rest of the country. I can only speak to the Northeast area, but I had bars, but I knew bar managers and bar owners who would say, excuse me, you do not talk to our women that way. I've seen more guys and girls thrown out when they were disrespectful to a prized cocktail waiter or waitress. We do not want your business, ma'am. We do not want your business, sir. You will not speak to any of my people in that manner. That's what good owners do. So for the people coming in there, preparing them, and by the way, just is beyond ethics. Okay, so if you can't embrace ethics, if you're all about the dollar in business, John says, you're bringing in a low rent clientele who are not going to spend money. And you have to have low-end drinks. Instead of fancy drinks, like John says, fancy drinks don't work with sluts. So John calls her out and says, to you, these people are all insignificant and meaningless. You're all that matters. And at the end of the day, people who behave like that, that's what it's all about. Them. It's all about them. Everyone else is just ants. I wish I could tell you guys, one time there was a major star couple when I first moved out to LA and I was working in Hollywood. There was a major celebrity couple, A-list. And they were producing a series. And they would get in the craziest fights, yelling and screaming and throwing things at each other and just madness. And I'm a stranger. He's a young kid. I'm like 5 feet away from them. It was like I wasn't there. It was like the rest of the staff wasn't there. And so one of the older staff members, funny, he said, well, if you were in a heated argument with your wife or girlfriend and there was an ant on the ground, would you stop the argument? I said, oh my goodness. So what you're saying is we're viewed as just ants to them. He's like, yeah, just little bugs, little ants. And this is exactly what this woman is. So we have a soft training session after John has it out with her. And John was like, I'm not going to fix your bar unless you're going to change. And he screams at her and he goes through, we see mold and we see puddles and we see this and that. It's just, he does his usual spiel, but he was almost so gassed out from screaming, I think. And God only knows what they cut for a time. But we move on to the soft training. And Roach is kind enough to say, yeah, I'll be the cook. And Keith works with him, and he's very amenable with what he has to work with. Obviously, he's not the best equipment, and it's certainly not situated in the best area. And then Lisa Marie Joyce Undergaro starts working with the girls. But this is why I love Lisa Marie and why I love this show. So, for the first time, I saw one of our experts, and particularly Lisa Marie, being incredibly gentle and loving, teaching these girls how to make drinks. Now, did John whisper in her ear? I'm sure it wouldn't be a producer. I know that for a fact. They don't do that there. Maybe John did. I don't know. I'm going to ask John. But I thought it was amazing because you know what? They'd had enough. They'd had enough of a beating. Now it's time to educate them and empower them. We did not need to beat these women down. And I love that Lisa Marie sensed it. And she is a tough girl. Tough. A lot of edge there. That's why I love it. That's why she's my future wife. But, she had such great compassion for these women. It was like being with battered women. And seeing her train them, I could say, something a little different there. And I liked it a lot. We go to the stress test. And obviously things are going to fail. We have a flood. People aren't getting service. There's mold in the ice, the well, and the ice. And something breaks, glass goes in the ice bin, so we have to burn the ice and get rid of the ice. But one of the girls says, well, we could do shots. And Lisa Marie, once again, was like, that's a great idea, and just pumps the girl up for saying, hey, you know what? If this is a real-life situation and you're at the bar, you need to still make money. While you're burning the ice, let's sell some shots. The one person failing miserably is Chandra. And man, was it nice to see a bully with her hair up in a ponytail and actually having to work. And if you've ever seen bully bosses, and I know a lot of you people have them, actually have to work, and many of you don't get the pleasure of seeing this. It's been a few times in my life that I have, so don't feel bad, but it's just wonderful because she even admitted, I can't handle this. If this is what it is, I can't. And I'm like, of course you're saying to myself, of course you can't. Your legs are totally going to go. There's no way. No, you're just good at being mean to people and picking on people and whatever. And again, I've seen it on my films. I've seen it on TV shows I've worked on and my friends' TV shows. Seen it over and over again. And I've seen it in the carnival business and I've seen it in other businesses as well. But it's rare when they have to turn their head backwards and actually come to work. Well, let's come see. You're so good. Let's see what you got. And it was just nice to see her totally reduce. Man, would I have loved going back to O-Face. I would have loved to have seen O-Face lady have to work. She had the hair done up and her bell and her pink ashtray. I would have loved to have seen her and that hair fall on her face and sweat. But again, that's why I love this show, because we got to see something different. We got to see this Queen Sheba put in that position, and it was great.
You know what? I like hearing that situation because sometimes the most empty barrel makes the most noise. And hearing the situation, having now known that she is a bully and pushing people around, and to realize that she can't even do the work of what she's degrading these women to, it's like the universe is showing everybody a humbling aspect of her, and she just needs to realize it herself and to be put into situations like this.
Well, one of the reasons why I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons why, Marissa, I had you guys host immediately, I wanted to work on your public speaking skills, and I knew you would have fun doing it, and build up your fan bases as well, which is going to be valuable to your individual brand. But I wanted you to know what the hosts are going through. Because if you know what they're going through, then you're more empathetic, you know how to support them. So it is great for someone like that to be put in this position. Okay, now I get it. I'm sweating behind the bar. I'm burning myself. I'm this. I'm that. I'm stuck in a puddle. Like, I get it. I don't want to be in this. So maybe you hope that you can get beneath all those layers of narcissism to get to the core of somebody who goes, oh my goodness, and thinks about somebody else and says, hey, this is not right, and I'm going to make that change. So it was great. Like I said, much compassion from Keith and Lisa Marie with the whole staff. So it wasn't your atypical stress test. The stress was mostly on Chandra. And John as well. John was incredibly compassionate to the women. And I'm going to ask John if he kind of, reeled his experts in a little bit. But I saw it in his face, and I said, oh, God, that's just typical John. He just, he coaches everyone in a different way. He just has this ability to know. And speaking of knowing people, so John does the sit down with her, and he said, she says, she cops and confesses, my life is complete and utter misery. Well, yeah. But a big step because she's admitting that. A few days ago, when she's sitting calling people sluts and things like that, she's not, if you would ask her, is your life complete and utter misery? No, she'd say they're miserable. No. Or she'd say, yeah, because of them, or something like that. But no, this was a woman that was broken down and copped. And then John said, and again, he just knows people so well, what are you scared of? And I never would have thought to ask her that. I would have went right to, well, of course it's miserable because you're in debt and this and that, and you're throwing out this negative energy to these people, and of course they're going to throw it back to you, and blah, and it's a whirlpool. And I would have went there, and John was like, what are you scared of? Because he went even deeper, because he's John Taffer. And it was obviously, we're going to lose the business, we're not going to have anything for our children, and John got to the human. So what was the thing to break her from narcissism? Her children. Because you're going to think more about your children than you are about yourself. And John, his eyes well up with tears. She breaks down. And John, being such a great guy, because he's just not there to hurt anybody, just really is there to help, puts it all aside and says, we're going to do this. And Marissa, you know what I said at that moment? I'm like, I want John to tell me we're going to do this. Whether it's AfterBuzz or whatever. What a great feeling. He's like, we're going to do this. And I'm so fired up at this point. I don't know how she couldn't have been, and maybe she was.
I love how John becomes so empathetic with every bar and every owner that he comes across with. Like, he comes down to a level of understanding, and then it's not just about the person, it's about let's work at it as a team. We work as a team. It's a collective effort.
Yeah. He knows people. It's not just bars. He knows people. He's got a thing. I mean, Tony Robbins has it too. It's a lot of the great self-help personnel out there have that ability, but he's right up there with them, and I can't even imagine the drain on this guy. They cop to the fact that the Hoochie is in such bad shape that they have to do the hard training at a nearby bar. That's actually where they did the sit down as well. And, Keith has got a nice little burger thing going, and Lisa Marie Joyce Undergaro has some really nice drinks going. Everyone's really excited. And then we come to the reveal of the new place. And we usually go to commercial. They spin them around and we go to commercial for the reveal. And then after the commercial break, we come back and see the outside and inside of the bar. I'm such a geek of this show that I look so carefully at the reactions, to see, are they really excited? Are they surprised? Are they stunned? And I saw genuine excitement because this VFW outside now looked like an establishment. It looked like a bar. And it's called the Proving Ground.
It is Proving Ground.
Proving Ground. And it's, because we're in Detroit, it's all the menus, all the features are based around Motor City. Cars and things like that. And even outside, what a great effect. They brought all these classic cars out front and took, like I said, what looked like a VFW. They made it into something. And we go inside, and once again, it's just awesome. They've got just a whole array of car headlamps behind the bar, 3 POS systems. They even, something so innovative, they took the hood of a car to make the kitchen hood for the kitchen. It's fantastic. And what said so much about this staff, who for years were just terrorized by this woman, they're actually crying. They're crying. After all they've been through, and they still have it in them to cry and be happy for this place that's not even theirs. And they're thrilled, and they're going to now have hope for more self-esteem, and they can feel better about where they're going to work every night, and they're going to make more money. The only thing that I didn't love were the uniforms, and I think John, they were good, but I think John was he wasn't having he wanted them, I feel like, and again I have to ask him, I think he wanted them more covered up. Now they're in Dickies, and it's cute, the outfits. It's work overalls like you'd see on an assembly line. But there's a way to do that sexy. And I still think you can have the sex without the sluttiness. And I felt it was a little too covered up. But it may have been for 2 reasons. One, because the kitchen area is still adjacent to the bar, so it's for safety, number one. Number two, it may be a hangover effect because they've been so demoralized from the beginning that it was like, let's just cover them up. And by the way, cute outfits. But I think there's a way, when I think of, I think of that famous picture of the girl with the bicep during World War II. And I think of her sleeves rolled up. And I think, something like that with a half shirt, still could be jean-like, and matching shorts, but
Rosie the Riveter? Yeah.
Like a sexy kind of Rosie the Riveter kind of look, but sexy. Short shorts, cute tops. Just a thought, but again, certainly nothing that you can, nothing that we have to make anyone think that this wasn't an amazing renovation. Here was the kicker, and not a bar rescue first, but definitely something we don't see often. When we go to the black screen and we are told where this bar is in the future, we learn that they, in food and alcohol, in 6 months or whatever, they've only made $20,000. And Chandra went back to her old ways and one of the lead girls that we were rooting for the whole episode, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, guys, no longer works there. So it was basically even bar rescue. Usually I feel like we get a positive black card at the end, and then we have to go to bar rescue updates to see what has really happened months after the months that they did the initial kind of revisit. So Marissa, at bar rescue updates, what are you seeing?
I see, due to all the conclusion, the bar has kept the name Proving Ground Bar and Grill, and the reviews of the bar are definitely more positive than before the bar rescue makeover.
Okay.
And it seems like John Taffer tried to clean up the reputation of the bar. The bar is deleting some of the negative comments on their Facebook page, which has been angering a lot of people. So they're even cleaning up their online status as well. And Cynthia posted on Facebook why she quit. And she says, I quote, "I quit because Shonda hired a new girl and gave her my best shift without talking to me first. I was the day bartender, so to lose a Saturday shift hurt financially." And so I believe she has left the staff. And she goes on to talking about more about Shonda being a bitch. But again, I think it's hostile talent now gone from the staff.
You know, it is so hard to change people. And I say that meaning it's so hard to change, people, to you people out there. But it is hard just to change people in general. It is. I feel like it's less than 5% of people have it really in them. I hate to be so cynical. I feel like we're formed at between 3 and 6. But it is really hard to change. And as hopeful as I was, it's not like we brought in it's not like there was anyone else who could come in and run the place and let this lady just come in and get the paycheck once a week. I mean, you're not going to make a real leader or manager out of that lady in 4 days, unfortunately. And I know that the reason the bar wouldn't go back is because I also don't think she has it in her. She couldn't even tend bar, so she doesn't even have it in her to pay for a sign change, to change the place. I'm sure she's more than happy to take this unbelievable facelift and upgrade and just let it go. So, needless to say, I thought this episode was just outstanding. It was different. I feel really bad for those girls. I think John killed it. I think Lisa Marie killed it as well. And I do like Keith, and I hopefully we'll get to see more of him. Talking about next week, it's going to be a great one, Marissa. They did a real tease. My favorite kind of guy, a bully, and someone who even physically bullies. So at least he's physically threatened. It's assault. But he's saying, I'm going to knock someone out. So he's a bald-headed guy, pretty well built, and he's physically threatening the staff, and that's kind of how he runs things. And just another meathead. Has a lot of Canyon Inn in it. If you diehards, Canyon Inn, one of my least favorite owners. But where he was a fathead jock, this guy's like a fathead kind of weightlifter, MMA kind of boxer type, but a bully. And
so even more physically threatening.
Yes, that guy could have been physically threatening too, I'm sure, because he was a big guy too. He just was that kind of guy, but this guy more so. And unfortunately, that's more in the businesses I've worked with outside of LA. I've dealt with a lot of that. The worst kind of bosses, the worst. Really, really hard to deal with those guys. So I am excited to see that next week. And as I said at the top, for John, it's usually women, military, and just weak people in general that he stands up for, or people who can't defend themselves as well. So he is going to have a field day next week. But as for me, that's it for tonight's show. You can find me at Undergaro. Hit up Tall Mia and tell her you missed her. And I'm thinking I got to get Lisa Marie in here. I gotta get with this girl. my crush is just growing too much. We have to put that to rest. Anyway, I guess I'll be back here next week. I'm hoping I have a table of people with me. But in the meantime, you can go to iTunes and give us your comments, questions. You can also go to YouTube for you fans of us on video and do the same. I guess that's it, Mariski. Where do we find you?
You can all follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV.
At Serafini TV. Marissa, thank you so much for helping me today. I really appreciate it. While we're very weak.
Of course. And you know what? It's always interesting to hear these stories and how people started off so low, but at the end of every episode, all you can do is root for the best, you know?
Yeah. There you go, Mariski. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.